Yo, what's up? Ethan here. So MSI's Raider lineup of laptops have been killing it in the laptop game ever since they debuted in 2018, starting with their GE63 and GE73 along with several updates throughout the year. But recently, MSI has released their brand new Raider 18HX AI Edition laptops that carry the latest and greatest of gaming-related computer components. So today we'll be running through what this laptop offers for specs and test how capable it is for our creators and gamer heads out there. Take a seat, grab some popcorn, let's dive in. Starting off with a quick unboxing, they've actually kept it quite simple. Opening the box, you're almost instantly greeted with the laptop. Underneath that, you'll find manuals and the absolutely beefy 400-watt power adapter that charges a 99.9 watt-hour battery. This alone weighs a lot, and the footprint of this thing is massive as well. Obviously, for such a demanding laptop, it requires demanding power input, but yeah, this is huge. Having a squiz on the inside, you'll come across specs that beats even my editing station's components. This variant is carrying an Intel Ultra 9 285HX processor, 64GB of DDR5 SODIMM RAM at clock speeds of 6400 MHz, 4TB of Gen 5 NVMe SSD storage, and the gorgeous and brand new RTX5080 GPU. On paper, all these specs collectively output an absolutely insane amount of processing and graphical power, but we'll be putting that to the test later on with some benchmarking, so stick around for that. Expanding on some of those components, the Ultra 9 285HX is a collective 24-core processor with 8 performance cores, 16 efficiency cores, with a total of 24 threads, a max efficient and performance core frequency of 4.6 GHz and 5.5 GHz, and a processor base power of 55 watts. These specs ensures a carefree computing experience with any user that requires raw processing power and doesn't have time for compromise. The 64GB of DDR5 SODIMM RAM also plays a heavy role in this as well. With speeds of up to 6400 MHz, this makes sure that you're dealing with high capacity and fast reacting temporary storage to ensure any multitasking is processed quickly without any software freezing. And of course, we can't forget about the 5080 laptop GPU. With this generation focusing more on AI integration, I'll be really interested in seeing our test bench results later on to see if enabling DLSS 4 will make any drastic difference in performance. Cosmetically, this laptop has a screen panel size of 18 inches at a resolution of 3840 by 2400 at 120 Hz. MSI is also flexing their mini LED technology that's built in, which helps with indoor and especially outdoor environments. Color accuracy on the panel is also great with an 100% DCI-P3 output, so any creators that use photo or video editing software, like myself for example, will be able to see proper and accurate color output for the best end result for their projects. Since this is such a big laptop, MSI hasn't skimped out on the ports at all, coming in with 2 Thunderbolt 5 ports, which support DisplayPort 2.1, 120 gigabits per second transfer speeds, and a multitude of other features. It's also carrying 3 Type-A USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports, 1 HDMI 2.1 for support up to 8K at 60 Hz and 4K at 120 Hz, an RJ45, and an SD card reader. Pretty safe to say that MSI went absolutely nuts with their ports for this model, which is great. The audio side of things is really impressive as well, coming in with a full 6-speaker surround system by Dynaudio. This covers our low-end frequencies for those powerful bass sounds and high frequencies for clearer vocals. But MSI didn't stop there. They also made these speakers high-res audio certified, which means you'll be getting the best acoustically sounding output as possible for this specific laptop in the specific array of speakers. In terms of webcam quality, it outputs full HD at 30 FPS with HDR and 3D noise reduction. If anyone doesn't know what 3D noise reduction is, it's essentially a light AI related software that can help with increasing vocal quality and eliminating as much background noise as possible for the best audio quality experience. After testing the webcam, you can see that it's honestly nothing too special, but it gets the job done. Quality is standard and the shadows and highlights are balanced enough to not make the picture look too unofficial. A couple of features this laptop can offer with the webcam is automatic framing to make sure your face is centered at all times, eye contact which analyzes your eye direction and corrects it with an inbuilt software so it looks like you're constantly looking at the camera, and background effects to either hide or spruce up what's behind you. Overall though, the webcam system does the job. No complaints here. Alright, the part you've all been waiting for. Benchmarking. This laptop was really fun, especially with all the results we got. I first tested with a game that didn't have any DLSS, which was Callisto Protocol, and in terms of performance, it got really good performance results. I redid this test bench a couple times levels, and it managed to get between 100 to 110 FPS as an average. Switching over to Red Dead 2, this was an interesting one. I made sure DLSS was switched on and off in either test, and it somehow got the same results. This one was probably the most interesting benchmark out of all of them. I was super excited for Black Myth Wukong due to finally getting an update in early April for support for DLSS 4, and this results really showed that. All settings were cranked to the absolute max, and non-DLSS was what I would have expected from a game this detailed. But switching on DLSS gave me a major boost in frame performance. No surprises here, but it was really cool to finally see the newest DLSS gen shine with a contemporary game such as this. 3D Mark Steel Nomad on the other hand received some respectable results, averaging around 50 FPS, but for the type of test bench that Steel Nomad is, it's impressive that it outputted average frames such as this. Overall though, the laptop can definitely output extremely high results for graphical performance. Since first seeing what DLSS 4 was capable of at Nvidia's keynote at CES 2025, I'm extremely excited to see what sort of performance increases we'll get in the close future for Nvidia eligible games. In terms of the software included in the laptop, there's one in particular to look out for. The software is called MSI Centre. I've talked about this before, but essentially it gives you a multitude of subcategories to make sure that your laptop is up to date. Component monitoring and fine-tuning when it comes to power output. Extending on MSI Centre a little more, if you go into the features menu and select user scenario, you'll find some settings to choose from, but most notably MSI AI Engine. This essentially uses software AI to determine what sort of computing power your laptop will need to run that said task. Usually you would have to click something similar below like extreme performance, balanced, or eco, but this essentially does all the heavy work for you, so you don't have to worry about a single thing. This tab also allows you to choose and work with discrete graphics, hybrid, or integrated graphics. Long story short, this software gives you extreme flexibility depending on your work preference. A really cool feature that's one of the highlights of the laptop is the MSI Overboost Ultra technology. This essentially combines both CPU and GPU processing, which will collectively output an insane 260 watts of power to make sure that you'll get the best performance out of this thing. So overall, lots of settings, plenty of power saving settings as well, so fine-tuning is definitely modular for the user. In conclusion, this laptop has its very few flaws like weight and noise levels when it's being stressed, but overall, this has an insane power output. With the latest GPU and CPU combo, this doesn't shy away at all when it comes to brute force. Ports come in plentiful amounts, and the screen is absolutely gorgeous. We definitely recommend this laptop for any hardcore gamer, graphic designer, creator, or basically anyone that needs a laptop with very little downside for performance output. Besides that, we hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in the next one. Catch you later.